Today, we are going to dive into a really simple, timeless story about a family of sparrows. And believe it or not, this little story holds a huge secret. It teaches you how to tell who's actually going to get something done and who's just all talk.
So let me ask you this. How do you really know? When someone says they're going to do something, how can you tell if they're actually about to take action? Well, the answer is right here in this story.
All right, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in this quiet, peaceful wheat field where a new little family is just getting started.
Okay, so picture this. You've got this really smart mother sparrow. She picks the absolute perfect spot for a home, tucked away right in the middle of all this young wheat. It's cozy, it's safe, and it's the perfect place to raise her two little babies. For a while, everything is just great. But of course, things start to change. The days go by, the wheat grows tall and starts to turn that beautiful golden color, and the baby sparrows are getting bigger and stronger. But then, one day, the farmer who owns the field shows up with his son, and just like that, things start to feel a little tense. The farmer's visit is the first sign of trouble for our sparrow family, but as they're about to find out, not every threat is what it seems.
So the farmer's looking over all his ripe wheat, and this is what he says. He knows it's time to get to work, but listen closely to his plan. His first thought is to ask other people for help. He's counting on his neighbors and his friends to get the job done.
Well, the two little chicks are hiding in the nest, and they hear every word, and they are absolutely terrified. They know that if the harvest starts, their home, their entire world is going to be destroyed. So the second their mom gets back, they tell her the horrible news.
But here's the thing. The mother sparrow, she's not worried at all. She understands something really important about people. She tells her chicks, "Don't be scared. If he's waiting for other people to help him, that wheat's not getting cut today." She knows there's no real danger. Not yet, anyway.
So, a few more days go by, and just like the mother sparrow said, nothing happens. But then, the farmer's plan changes, and this is the real turning point of the whole story.
The wheat is now so incredibly ripe that the little grains are actually starting to fall right off the stalks. The farmer sees this and realizes, uh-oh, I'm about to lose my whole crop. His friends never showed up, and he knows he simply cannot wait one more day.
And this slide just shows the huge difference perfectly. Look at that first plan. The action was supposed to be done by his friends and neighbors, and the timeline was, well, who knows? There was no urgency. But the final plan? Totally different. The action is going to be taken by ourselves. That's him and his son. And the timeline? It's not vague anymore. It's tomorrow. It's personal, it's specific, and it's happening right now.
So when the little chicks hear this new plan and tell their mom, her whole attitude shifts. She says, listen, when someone decides they're going to do the work themselves, you can bet it's going to happen. She knew in that exact moment that the threat was finally real. That was the signal it was time to move. Okay, so now the danger is real, it's immediate. And the sparrows, they don't waste a single second. It is time for action. And look how smart they are about it. They follow these clear, simple steps. First, they hear the farmer's new plan. He's going to do it himself. Second, they get it. The danger is right here, right now. So third, they spend the whole afternoon getting ready. And fourth, by the next morning at sunrise, they're gone. No panic, just a smart decision based on good information. What the sparrows did, well, this is the perfect word for it. They were proactive. They didn't just sit around and wait for the worst to happen. They saw what was coming because they listened to the farmer's change of plans, and they took action to keep themselves safe before it was too late.
And yup, sure enough, the next morning the farmer and his son show up bright and early, ready to work. And what do they find? An empty nest. The sparrows were already long gone. They absolutely made the right call.
So, what in the world does a story about some birds and a farmer have to do with us? Well, it turns out everything. Let's break down the big lesson here. Here it is, plain and simple. Self-help is the best help. You know, it's okay to ask for help, but if you really want to be sure something gets done, the best way is to take ownership and rely on yourself. The real action starts the second you decide, okay, I'm going to do this.
This little story has so much packed into it. First, it teaches us that there's a huge difference between saying you'll do something and actually doing it. Second, that being self-reliant is a superpower. It's about taking charge of your own goals. And finally, it shows us just how important it is to look ahead and act before you're forced to.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. What's the wheat in your life? You know, that big project, that goal, that thing that's ready for a decision? Are you waiting around for your friends and neighbors to help you out? Or are you ready to say, you know what, I'm going to do this myself tomorrow?